Just a couple more Ring of Honor questions, and then I wanted to ask you just about other sports because I knew you were a baseball guy. But so you say you've been kind of like learning a lot more about historical wrestling as far as listening to the 605 and just learning a lot about maybe other territories and whatnot. So I'm not sure how much you know about 80s NWA, but who, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask who in ROH would thrive in that old 1980s NWA environment, if I were to ask you that question?
Oh man, there's actually a few, and I think you might be surprised at the answers. The one of the guys that jumps out would be Silas Young.
Yeah, of
I think
course. Yeah, I love
I
that
think
guy. That guy is
he,
awesome.
he's a throwback in every sense of the word. He's just inside and out of the ring, and it's amazing. He's a veteran of many years, but
Yeah.
he just keeps getting better. He gets better by the year. I think he would. I think Beer City Bruiser actually would. I could
Hmm.
see him. He's more of an AWA guy. If I had to put him anywhere, he would
Yeah.
fit more in that AWA type role, I think. But I could see Jay Lethal very easily being in the in '80s NWA wrestler. And then there's a few others. LSG of Coast to Coast, I think would thrive sort of in that. Tom Zink, Brian Pillman, handsome guy who's a great wrestler role. And,
That's a good point. Yeah.
don't tell LSG I said that. Don't want his head to get too big. Um,
Uh,
and there's a few others for sure. And the Briscoes are somebody who are I think are as real as it gets, and I think they'd fit anytime, anywhere. But man, wouldn't what I would give to see the Young Bucks versus the Rock and Roll Express, or the Young Bucks versus the Midnight Express. I'd pay any money in the world. I'd pay to see that match right now. I think the Young Bucks and the Rock and Roll Express could tear the house down in 2017. I really
of
do.
of all the ones you said, that one does shock me the most. That one does shock me the most.
They are such great wrestlers, and I think as we as wrestling evolves, I think perceptions change and the way wrestlers are measured change. And they are two of the smartest people I've ever met. Period. End of story. And
Hmm.
they're thinking on a level that is beyond what I think maybe has been thought before. And they put little intricacies and touches on things that are unlike many other wrestlers. So I love calling their matches because there are nods to those things in their matches. And just to speak to their creativity, I mean, how many other wrestlers have 100,000 plus YouTube subscribers? How many other wrestlers take the time, effort, and energy to interweave stories that appear on television with what they do in their social media, like the Young Bucks do? And how many other wrestlers take the time to think all of that through and to really emphasize that? And not only are they getting visibility for themselves, but think about all the wrestlers that have appeared on Being the Elite, whether that's obviously Marty Skrull or Adam Cole, who were pretty popular in their own right, but then guys like Flip Gordon, who relative unknown coming into Ring of Honor. Fans in the Northeast perhaps knew him for his independent work. But all of a
Hmm.
sudden, he's on Being the Elite. He's sort of the butt of a harmless rib, as they say. And
Hmm.
now, Flip Gordon is on the tip of the tongue of a lot of wrestling fans. And a lot of the wrestling fans, joke along with the Young Bucks. And all of a sudden, they're talking about Flip Gordon. And so that's pretty cool that they're taking the time to incorporate a lot of the Ring of Honor stars into their own very successful venture. So that may surprise you because their style is so modern, and maybe the most modern out of any of the wrestlers that we have. But when it comes right down to it, I think they could have a great match with any tag team, anywhere, anytime, any place. And man, I think they'd be perfect opponents for, maybe in 1986 Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton, or 85 Rock and Roll Express. So, that I think that would be I think those would be great matchups, and I think you'd be surprised. I think they might be the best fit, despite not appearing like one on paper.
That's an interesting take. I've said this a lot of times to people. It's not that I don't. I'm the type of person that when if there's a style or something in wrestling I don't like, I'm not the guy who just blasts it out on social media. I hate this. This is garbage. I just kind of ignore it. It's like, okay, that's just not my thing. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not the internet wrestling person who likes to just crush something, so to say. I will just avoid it. It's just not my thing. So
Sure.
that's why it shocks me. And it's not that I do like I respect what they've done as far as building their who they are and brand and whatnot. I mean, those guys. I mean, they sell T-shirts out the wazoo.
Uh
They
huh.
they put on these. You know, here's the thing, Ian. I grew up watching Mid South and World Class, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I'll say it. Chris Adams would throw one super kick, and that was it. So it's like
Right.
I always remember Chris's super kick, which was so phenomenal. And I'm like, God, they do 40 a match. It like it pains me. It's like I'm in, it hurts me I'm scarred from, I guess, childhood. No, don't do that. So it's like,
Well,
they never were my cup of tea. I don't dislike them. I don't know them. I mean, I'm sure they're great guys, and I will say this: I have seen they have had plenty of matches recently this year that I've been more in favor of. I'm like, okay, I like that. It worked for me. So when I say I don't like them, it's not like a personal thing. It's just that the style was not one that was favorable to me, if that makes sense.
it does, and wrestling really functions best when there's different flavors of ice cream and there's different
Sure,
different flavors of
I agree.
wrestling. So I'll say this about the super kicks. If you watch Chris Adams, there's a lot of push through the hips. I think he got a little bit more on it, and I think that Chris Adams, a lot of the folks that he was facing, whether that be world class or mid south. I think athletes are more finely conditioned, and I think it just takes a couple more in 2017.
I
That's
hear
just
you.
my perspective as an announcer. So
That's a
that's
great response, man.
he
That's
gets
a
a little
great
bit,
response.
yeah, a little bit better technique. He used the hips more, and it's athletes are, they know what's coming these days. They can train their necks a little bit better, and
Yeah.
athletes in general are just, well ahead of where they were in 1982. So, I'm just saying, just putting that out there.
Well played, Ian. Well played. Well played. I like that. I like that response. That's a darn good one.